It's that time of year again. I'm sure you know the feeling: leaves falling, pumpkin carvings, and scary movies, if you're feeling up to it. And since it's that time of year, I thought, hey, let's talk about some scary movies. So I sifted through all the possibilities for a topic and landed right here on A Quiet Place. Plus, it makes it all better since I recently watched the second one over the summer and was meaning to make a video but never really got around to it, so this kind of gives me an excuse to talk about it. So let me offer to you today a retrospective on the Quiet Place franchise. First of all, we have to get something out of the way. The first movie was huge. It doesn't matter if you watched it or not, you've definitely heard about it. Heck, I still see references to it in the media today. It's kind of crazy that that movie got that big, especially one like this, but that's what quality does. Because it's a really good film, let alone a horror flick. Actually, I don't even think it's really considered horror because whenever it was advertised, it was more said to be a thriller, which is like horror's 13-year-old brother. But don't let that get your guard down. This movie is still scary. There were so many times during the movie that I would hold my breath or purposely not make any sound because I was so wrapped up in the world. The movie really brings to life this sort of tension that you can almost tangibly feel, and that's heightened by the monsters themselves, at least before you knew what they look like. I heard this before and call it a theory, but whatever the human mind makes up, it's almost always scarier than what's actually there. So often do I find myself scared when worrying about what it could be, but dealing with what it actually isn't nearly as bad. And that's the same thing in this movie, because there is nothing that compares to the tension when you had no idea what the monsters were and just knew that they attacked noise. Like, that's so scary. It really makes it feel like it could be anything, and the endless possibilities in your head only make it worse. But once the monsters were shown at the end, it made it way less scary. It went from horror to thriller. A lot of that tension and fear of the unknown was gone since we got to see what they actually were. But hey, as a standalone movie, it wasn't all that impacted by it, since it only really affected the third act, which wasn't that significant when you think back on the movie, because at least for me, when I think of A Quiet Place, I think of them having to walk through the woods or the town in silence because of their fear, not them shotgunning down these aliens and throwing them into barns. But anyway, 8 out of 10 for the first movie. It was really good. Now, if the end of the first movie was impacted, then the entirety of the second movie has to deal with that issue as well. Because now that we know the monsters, the fact is that they aren't as scary as before, so their mere presence isn't going to cut it. So in this movie, they had them act more as obstacles and less as an all-encompassing monster. And because of this, the movie had to rely on other aspects to make it scary. So we go to a lot of other locations and a lot of other people become antagonists. And sadly, this just isn't as good as the original movie, because to be honest, this movie was a little boring. Like, in theory, a lot happened in this movie, but it doesn't feel that way. Like, little to no progress was made for the characters or the story. We just end up where we began, in another location, which I guess does mean there was progress, but nothing substantial, especially for the character development. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked a lot of the parts of this movie. I thought that the train scene was really cool, and going to that radio tower island was sick, but for the rest, it all just felt kind of iffy for me. Like, those random boat people were really boring in my opinion. Same with the whole factory area. Like, sure, getting locked in that vault served as a little tension, but it doesn't come close to the first movie. I don't know though, there were some cool moments and locations here and there that I really liked, and exploring the world was really cool, especially since I love that world building stuff, and being able to see what happened right before everything went down was super great. Like, that whole flashback was really cool, but I just feel like not enough happened in this movie, at least stuff happening that would have a lasting impact on the characters and franchise, because none of the characters really changed, so it makes a lot of this stuff seem really unnecessary. Plus, don't think too deeply into anything this movie shows because it really ruins it for you. I mean, they start shooting the monsters here and it really makes you think how the military didn't wipe these things out in like a day. Plus, a lot of the characters regress from any development they got in the first movie, like the mom, but if you look past that, it's whatever. So I'm giving A Quiet Place 2 a 6 out of 10. But overall, you can't deny the impact these movies have had so far, and honestly, I'm still kind of looking forward to the third one. Plus, I've just had so many good memories with these movies. I mean, the first one almost reminds me of a better time, a simpler time. I watched that movie over the summer when it first came out with friends back in 2018. Back then, we used to go to this one friend's house like every day in the summer, and we'd go walk downtown from his house and go get food and watch movies and then go back to play basketball or swim in the pool. Like, they were good times, and I miss them. And to me, this movie almost captures that in a sense. Sounds funny, but hey, it's kind of true. But that's all from me today. Hope you guys all have a good Halloween, and take this as a Halloween special of sorts from me. Thought it'd be fun, and hopefully you enjoyed it. I know this video is kind of random, but whatever. Anyway, I hope you all have a good one, but as always, stay awesome, too awesome. Thanks for watching.